This is a distinct honor for me to be the one that gets to introduce you to an extraordinary young man named Garry Gilliam. Some of you may know him from his days in the NFL, having scored one of the most remarkable touchdowns in NFC Championship history with the Seattle Seahawks. He's an important member of my team as my Vice President of Urban Development and Community Engagement, as well as head of our Africa division. And he's CEO of the Bridge Eco Village, which is a critical infrastructure development model reshaping communities in underserved communities across the United States. You will not find a more humble, perceptive, cerebral, ethical, and altruistic young man who fundamentally believes that life never stops teaching, so we should never stop learning. His impact to communities across the USA is changing the view of opportunity for many people, particularly youth, giving them vision, tools, and education to transcend their immediate circumstances, taking them forward into a life of unimagined possibility. Ladies and gentlemen, we've done a horrible job preparing the future for our youth, so we have a responsibility to prepare youth for the future, and that is exactly what Garry's doing. I'm fortunate to have him as a valued member of the leadership team of my company, but even more so, Garry is proof that your family is not always blood. In many cases, family is a choice, and for me, undoubtedly, Garry is family. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce you to Garry Gilliam.
Oh, there it goes.
First points of the day from Hauschka. And they're going to fake it. Ryan going to float it for the touchdown. Seattle back in it. Garry Gilliam.
I am Garry Gilliam. My dreams can come true.
I am Garry Gilliam. I am Garry Gilliam. You worked really hard. I'm gonna work really hard. I am Garry Gilliam.
I am Garry Gilliam.
I will never quit. I am Garry Gilliam.
Hi, I'm Garry Gilliam. You guys hear me all right with this? Yeah, okay. Might have to speak down into it a little bit. We'll figure it out though. Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I've learned a lot. I'm a sponge, so I'm always looking to learn. I'm actually a nerd trapped in an athlete's body, so they say. And I was certainly in the NFL. Today I'll be talking to you about amplifying social impact. But before I tell you about that and about what I do, I'm gonna tell you a lot more about who I am and how investing intentionally into the infrastructure of our communities can make a dramatic effect on our marginalized communities. So I was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That is the capital of Pennsylvania. It is not Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, it is Harrisburg. Unfortunately, Harrisburg is not in the greatest situation. It's a food desert. It's got low homeowner occupied rates. Overweight and obesity levels are fairly high. And it's been that way for a long time. And actually, my mom was the youngest of 9 kids, also grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And my family was below the poverty line. So much so, my mom actually lived in an abandoned home where they would siphon electricity from the neighbors. They would all huddle around in one room with a kerosene heater. Mom had to wipe soot from her nose on the way to school. And she was a fighter, certainly because she was the youngest in the family, but also just in her nature. And not just fight to fight, but really fight to protect people, mostly those less fortunate than herself physically, right? Mom was also big, 5'11", track star, swimmer. And she instilled in me that I was far more than just an athlete. Like she could really care less how big, strong, and fast I was. She wanted to know what that report card was looking like. Right, because mom actually didn't get a chance to graduate from high school. She was kicked out indefinitely for fighting. And she was kind of the bullier of the bullies, which sometimes meant she was fighting teachers. And they didn't like that, so they kicked her out. Mom made sure that the environment that my brother and I had was conducive of us really developing into who we needed to be. My brother, actually, my older brother, has cerebral palsy. He was born with a pretty serious heart condition. He had to have open heart surgery, saved his life, but due to some complications during that surgery, led him to have cerebral palsy. So mom again reinforced that it was up to me to protect and provide for those less fortunate, first and foremost, my brother. So she taught me how to fight. Hence, that's me when I was 2. That second picture, no lie. I used to think my mom was lying about that, and my daughter's now about to be 3, and she's like this, like she's massive, so I guess that's true. But mom taught me how to fight, to protect my brother. People are gonna make fun of him, they're gonna say things. You need to protect him. I need to know what that report card is looking like too. She made sure that academics was far more important than athletics to me. And then my dad reinforced it, right? My dad was actually a bar manager, and he let me know that certainly C's get degrees, but A's will get you paid, right? So every A that I got, my dad actually compensated me for. So in elementary school, I had 12 classes, and I would get straight A's. So I would get $60, and he would give it all to me in ones in a Crown Royal bag. And I felt like the man, right? 7 years old with $60, I'm getting all the slushies and candy I want. But unfortunately, again, Harrisburg didn't really have the resources, the opportunities that my mom thought that I needed. The school district was actually trying to skip me up 2 grades. I was the kid who would do my work, I would get good grades, get bored in class, and then just kind of start to act up. And they're like, look, mom, we gotta figure out a way to keep this kid occupied. So they wanted to skip me up. Mom was like, well, I don't know. I don't think that's the best thing to do for my son. I think I gotta find a new environment for him. And luckily she did. 15 minutes down the road from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, is the town of Hershey, Pennsylvania. Anybody ever been to Hershey, Pennsylvania? Chocolate? Okay. Anybody ever been to an NFL game? Actually, that was a lot less than normal. Wow. So Hershey, Pennsylvania, family situation was so bad, the environment of Harrisburg was so bad, mom was looking for a different place for me to grow up. But she didn't really tell me she was looking for a new place for me to grow up. Again, Hershey's not too far from Harrisburg, so I thought we were going to Hershey Park. You know, maybe going for a little summer camp or something. So we pull up on campus, and that big white dome you see there is called Founders Hall. It was all marble and gold and chandeliers. It was beautiful, a lot different than the row homes that I was used to. We went there and then we left and pulled up to this mansion. Mom's like, hey, Junior, go play on the swings. I gotta go in here, grab some things, and we'll head right home. So mom goes in, I play on the swings, I'm having a good time, right? Mom comes out, I go to get in the car. She's like, no, keep playing. I gotta go back to Founders Hall, I'll be right back to get you. So mom leaves, playing, swings, jungle gym, sandbox, having a great time. And it starts getting darker and darker and darker. My mom didn't come back. I was 8 years old, left in a playground. Figure it out. I'm playing, and this random guy comes out of the house, and he's like, hey, Garry, it's time for you to come in and shower and get ready for bed. I'm looking at this dude like, what? Stranger danger, showers, bed? Like, I don't know who you are, I'm out. So hopped off the swings and started chucking to where mom said she was gonna be at. Founders Hall, and he's chasing me like, no, Garry, we're your family. This is your home. Your mom signed you over to us. Wow. Unbeknownst to me. So as you can imagine, feelings of abandonment, confusion. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something right? Why am I here? Do I get to see my mom again? Do I get to see my family again? Like, where's my brother? Like, what's going on? And I did get to see my mom again. Let me establish that. Sometimes I forget to mention that. I was able to see my mom again on the holidays, on the weekends if she came up, right? It's kind of like being in college, but for a young 8-year-old, it might as well have been forever. So I remember crying myself to sleep my first 2 years being at the school every night, looking at a picture of my mom, smelling one of her perfume boxes, just missing my family. And I started to realize that every other kid in this school, they were just like me and had very familiar and similar situations like my family, right? So Milton Hershey School was a school that was founded by the great chocolatier Milton Hershey and his wife, Catherine Hershey, who actually couldn't have children. He started the chocolate factory after they sold their caramel, and then committed the majority of the wealth of this chocolate factory to a school originally founded in 1909 for little white orphan boys, called the Hershey Industrial School for Boys, a completely cost-free school that would educate the kids in trades and give them a leg up in the real world. Now that's what the school was for, little white orphan boys from 1909 to the 60s when black males were admitted, into the 70s when females were admitted, and in the late 90s when I went, no longer just for orphans, but for families below the poverty line. That's what qualified you to go to the school. In order to get accepted, you had to pass, for lack of a better term, like an IQ test. They wanted to make sure you could handle the curriculum that they were about to bestow upon you. Looking for diamonds in the rough. So I went, and I didn't really like it. And I cried a lot, and I wanted to leave. And my student home that I was in, they're houses, these mansions with 10 to 12 kids. Within each house, you've got a set of house parents who wake you up in the morning, check your chores, make sure you go to school, what have you. But I was always crying, homesick. I was in 3rd grade. The rest of my house was in high school. They're like, bro, you'll figure it out. You'll get over it. And I eventually did, but the only way I did was to really distract myself from being homesick. So I got involved in a bunch of sports, right? Football was actually one of the last sports that I played. Did soccer, ice hockey, swimming, diving, football, basketball, track, baseball, all of them. But I also immersed myself in what else the school had to offer, right? I learned ballet, jazz, and tap and did that for 10 years. I learned how to play the piano and the guitar. I was an actor. And at the school, this was done intentionally, right? I thought that I was just trying to distract myself, but at the school, they call this the whole child approach. And there were 4 main aspects to it, right? On our basketball team, we called it the whole man concept, reinforcing really that you're more than just an athlete, right? The 4 aspects: mind, body, spirit, and community. Mind, academic excellence. No C's in this school, or excuse me, no D's. It went A, B, C, F. Body. If you're not an athlete, you're still very mindful of your inputs. You're eating right, you're drinking right, you're sleeping right. If you are an athlete, we expect you to be a 3-sport athlete. You're not playing football year-round or basketball year-round. You'll be well-rounded. 3, spiritually. Mental health, right? Again, in order to qualify to go to this school, you had to experience some adverse childhood experiences, right? We got to talk to somebody, bro. You might have saw your brother get shot and killed. Your family selling drugs, selling themselves, trying to make ends meet. That's normalized therapy. That's what the school did. It taught us about anger management, meditation, introduced us to the different wisdom traditions. I was actually a Sunday school teacher in high school. Number 3, mind, body, spirit. 4, community. Right? It's not enough just for you to navigate through society or figure out how to get through an issue, but are you willing to package it up and bring it back to the next generation? Right? Community, my favorite. So those are the 4 aspects of this whole child approach, this whole man concept, essentially being more than just an athlete or a scholar. You're well-rounded. And I thought that this was the way that most people were raised, but certainly not, especially not athletes. Oftentimes, we're told to shut up and dribble or just focus on football. But that was something a little bit different for me, right? From a very young age, it was instilled in me that I was more than just an athlete. At the school, I'm gonna give a little bit more to the school just because it really saved my life. When you hit high school, it goes back to its trade roots, and that every kid actually has to pick a trade. And in order for you to graduate from the school, you actually have to get nationally certified in that trade. Things like carpentry, plumbing, drafting, graphic design, video production, culinary arts, drama. Nationally certified in a trade, have to have above a C average, you have to pass a swimming test, and you have to have your driver's license to get your diploma. Now, this is important because once you got your diploma from the school, it qualified you for the continuing education scholarship. which meant that whatever college, university, trade school you got accepted to, the school would pay for the entire thing, except for $2,000. This is real. It exists and has for over 100 years. So I'm at the school wondering, like, whoa, where are the rest of these campuses at? Like, this is phenomenal. But like, you're in the middle of Pennsylvania, like Pennsylvania. What about, other places around the country, around the world? Why aren't we, where are they at? One, two, and moreover, where are the other towns like Hershey? Where's Coca-Cola's town? Jeff Bezos, where's your town at? Elon, what's up? Where's your town? I'm confused. Why aren't you investing intentionally into the infrastructure of your communities, right? Because Milton Hershey realized it wasn't just about building this chocolate factory, this place to work, but it was about building an entire ecosystem for that town. Places to work, eat, live, learn, play. Hershey Park, Hershey Theater, Hershey Garden, Penn State Hershey Medical Center, Milton Hershey School. He built homes, provided jobs. Everything you could ever want was right there in that town. And what it has yielded to this day are some of the highest property values in the state, some of the lowest cancer rates in the state, one of the highest graduation rates of a local public high school in the state. It's an international destination, a global brand, with what I'm most proud of, the largest educational endowment in the world. Beyond Harvard, beyond Yale, is Milton Hershey. So again, why aren't these corporations investing like this? Because Milton Hershey laid the blueprint over 100 years ago. I graduated from Milton Hershey School. I did not use my continuing education scholarship. My trades were graphic design and video production. I actually used to want to be an astronaut. Then I got too big. So I figured if I couldn't go to these worlds, I'd want to create them. So I wanted to be a video game designer, right? Interesting. But again, I didn't use my scholarship from Milton Hershey School because I had earned a full scholarship to play football. Actually, I had earned a bunch of scholarships in football, basketball. I was getting recruited by the major leagues in baseball. I had academic scholarships to Yale, Princeton. But I wanted to stay close to home. I wanted my degree to mean something, so I definitely wasn't going to Ohio State. Yeah. And I definitely wanted a chance to make it to the NFL. So I went to Penn State, where Joe Paterno was the coach, and he had this thing called the Grand Experiment, right? And what that meant was not only would the Penn State football program be a top 25 program every single year and come tear you up on the football field, but we'd also be academic All-Americans, academic All Big Ten players. We'd graduate over 90% of our athletes, which is unheard of in a top Division I football school. That was the Grand Experiment. It's true to the core of who Joe was. Also a graduate of Brown University himself, also put his money where his mouth was to this day, and still contributes millions of dollars to the school for the Paterno Petit Library. This is a program where they check classes every single day. And if you're not in class, you don't practice. And if you don't practice, you don't play. We don't care who you are. You gotta get that degree. Life was good at Penn State. I was catching passes. I had my own fan section called Gilliam's Island. People would camp out to come hang the banner. It was great. Then October 2nd, 2010, my redshirt freshman year, I got hurt. Blew my knee out, like my whole knee. ACL, MCL, meniscus, patella, 3 bone bruises because of how it hyperextended. It was supposed to just be 2 surgeries, right? One to fix the MCL, meniscus, patella, let that heal up, and then do the ACL, which is then another 9 months of recovery. So I was already in for the long haul. Now, in between those 2 surgeries, I developed a staph infection in my bone marrow. So now not only was my career on the line, but my life. All in all, it ended up being 5 surgeries, and I was out for half of my college football career. And on the journey back, I remember very vividly a conversation I had with Dr. Wayne Sebastianelli, who did all my surgeries. Actually, that's him right there, kind of looking like George Clooney. It's my guy. He called me into his office. He goes, "Garry, I want to talk to you." You know, I was able to go in, repair your ACL. We got it all together, but as we thought, you know, things aren't looking too good in there. So I just wanted you to know kind of what you're in for. You know, it's going to be a tough journey. Yeah, well, I anticipated that. I just want to be a good player. I want to get back to who I was. Thank you. Just want to be a good player. I want to get back to who I was. All this dang walking, right? Got a workout in up here. I want to get back to who I was, coach, or doc. What's the percent chance? What do you think? Can I do it? Can I get back? Like with what you've seen? He goes, "Well, we normally don't give percent chances as doctors, but you're like a son to me at this point, and it's bad, Gil. You know, your injury was horrible, and the complications made it even worse. One of the worst that I've seen as a doctor. So in all honesty, I might give you a 10% chance to get back to who you used to be." I perked up. I said, 10%? Doc, I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. No one in my family had graduated from high school. Doc, I'm standing in front of you, triple majoring on a full scholarship to play football. You know what the chances of that were? Less than 1. I'll take 10, let's go. So I put my head down, I grinded it out. And it was, boy, was it tough. And I remember wanting to quit. I was always taught to strive to be a whole man. And in this moment, being injured, I wasn't contributing physically, right? I wasn't playing football. I was getting to the point where I was no longer going to class just because it was inconvenient. My mental health was depleting. My spiritual health was wavering. And I felt that if I quit playing football, maybe I'd get everything else back. So I remember calling back to Milton Hershey School, actually, to the leader of our religious programs, Mrs. Debbie Ainsworth. And I called her, and no sooner she picked up the phone, you know, I just busted out crying. Woe is me. I don't want to carry this burden anymore. I've been a man of God. I've been a whole man. Why is this happening to me? And she said a few things, not that I hadn't heard them before, but in this moment, who it came from, how she said it, it just hit so hard. And she goes, "Listen, Garry, I hear you. But you got to remember, God gives the hardest battles to the strongest soldiers. And what you're currently going through has nothing to do with you, but it'll be a testimony for the soldiers you lead one day. So have faith in that. Control what you can control, your mindset and your effort." Oh, wipe those tears. Okay. This is an anointing above and beyond me. I'll just be a vessel and I'll keep moving. So that's what I did. I put my head down. I grinded it out. I eventually got back from my injury 2 years later, earned my starting spot back, and then my coach got fired, which was a whole host of other issues. We won't go into it today. I graduated from Penn State with 3 degrees, business development, PR and advertising, and industrial psychology. I know my family had gotten a college degree, so I figured I'd make up for it. And then I took my shot at the NFL. Now remember, I missed half my college football career. I actually switched positions from 89 to 77, from a tight end to a tackle. Not an easy switch to make. Certainly not one you should make the very last year in college. So my pursuit to the NFL, needless to say, was tough. It was a grind. Had to get it out the mud. Perseverance through adversity became my mantra, and it still is to this day. Now, I was always taught that all you need is a blade of grass. Right? If you're on offense and you're going in, you got a blade of grass, do everything you can to earn that blade of grass. And then on defense, if you've only got a blade of grass to defend, do everything in your means to defend that blade. Bend, but don't break. Keep pushing. Control what you can control. Everybody wants to be undefeated. Everybody wants to be 10-0. But before you can be 10-0, you got to be 1-0, right? All these things that my coaches had said to me years and years and years all came to fruition in these moments. I wasn't invited to the combine, which was my opportunity to showcase who I was to the scouts. The draft comes. I think the first, 3 of the first 10 picks were at my position. I'm looking at their 40s and their verts. I'm like, man, I'm better than this guy. Where's my phone at? Like, I should be getting a call soon. First round, no. Second round, no. Third round, no. Fourth round, no. Fifth round, no. Sixth round, no. Seventh round, it's the Colts. But they don't have any picks. Why are you calling me? Hey, Gary, we've identified you. If you go undrafted as a high priority free agent, we'd love you to come in, get our eyes and our hands on you. Whoa, 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 whoa. The draft is still going on. Like, don't call me yet. I'm being drafted. Needless to say, I did not get drafted. I did get called, though, by 31 of 32 teams to come in and try out. So I went to one. They just won the Super Bowl. They're all the way across the country. They had all pros, 10-year vets. They drafted guys at my position, which was actually all the things that I wanted. Probably not something that I should have wanted because that's not a high chance of you making that team, but that's where I went. To Seattle. And that top left picture you see up there was training camp. And it was rough. I get PTSD looking at that picture. I'm never gonna lie. Oh man, it was a tough time. I again switched positions my last year in college, so I was still fairly raw. I'm a rookie, trying to figure it out. I'm far from home again. That first practice, my job is to block people, right? The Blind Side, you guys have seen that movie. You're supposed to protect the quarterback. And I was on the ground probably the whole practice, not protecting the quarterback. So to me, I thought that I was about to get cut. I figured that as soon as I walk into the locker room, as we call the guy, the Grim Reaper, he's a guy who comes up and taps you like, hey, big fella, coach wants to talk to you. Bring your playbook. You're gone. So I just knew he was coming to get me. So I'm at my locker, getting changed. And I'm kind of looking over my shoulder. Left me alone. And I think for this reason, right? I remember what Mrs. Ainsworth had said, control what you can control, your mindset, your effort. And I always knew that if I made a mistake, I wouldn't make the same mistake twice. I'm going to grow, but I'm going to make all those mistakes. But the coaches appreciate the willingness to grow and to learn. I told coach, hey, look, every mistake I make, write it down. Because right after practice, we worked on it. Every misstep, every missed hand placement, every misread. I'm horrible today, coach, but I'll be a little bit better tomorrow, I promise you. They appreciated that. And that was consistent. I kept that up, controlled what I could control, put my head down, grinded it out. And when it was all said and done, I beat out those 10-year vets and those all pros and those draft picks. Young G from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Missed half his college football career. Almost a life-ending injury. Made it to the NFL. But was that the testimony to be shared? Is that what it is? I don't think so. But it did continue. I was still so bad as an offensive tackle, though, it qualified me to play tight end, which, I got hands, I can catch. And we were in the NFC Championship game, the game right before the Super Bowl, and we're getting smacked, 16-0, late in the third quarter. Not a place you want to be with Aaron Rodgers. Coach looks at me on the sideline, he goes, Gil, you ready? I was like, yeah, field goal. He goes, nah, Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown, no way. So Charlie Brown was a fake that we had in. It was called Charlie Brown because the kicker would go to kick it and the holder would pick it up, right? Charlie Brown. And then he would roll out and he could throw it or he could run it. And everything worked out to look like
First
this.
points today from Hauschka. And they're going to fake it. Bryant going to float it for the touchdown. Seattle back in it. Garry Gilliam.
Nice. Thank you. You should be hesitant to clap because, we're still losing. That's exactly what I thought. Bro, who cares you scored a touchdown? But that touchdown ended up being the catalyst for one of the greatest comebacks in NFL playoff history. Not because of the deficit that we overcame, but the way we did it. Every blade of grass. Fake field goal to an offensive tackle. Onside kick recovery when everybody and their mom's uncle knew we were kicking an onside kick. To get it to go to overtime, to win the game, to go back to the Super Bowl, to face Tom Brady and the Patriots, to be handling them pretty well all game for coach to decide not to hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch on the 1-yard line and lose the Super Bowl. Didn't get that last blade of grass. What I learned from Marshawn was to be about that action. He didn't like talking to the media. He said, I'm a ball player. The media is always trying to paint me bad anyway. I just want to go out here and play ball. I'm about that action. I'm about that action. So when we go back to those 2 questions I had from high school, where are the rest of these campuses? Why aren't these corporations investing intentionally in the infrastructure of their communities? And even more importantly, something a little closer to home, why do football players only go home and hold football cans? Why don't they invest in STEM and infrastructure? Well, in business school, they taught us to identify a point of pain and to solve it with a product, a good, or a service. So that's what the bridge does. It identifies disparities in a local community, first of which are dilapidated schools, malls, warehouses, and shopping centers. And we buy them and convert them into mixed-use developments that we call eco-villages. There are 5 branches: work, eat, live, learn, and play. That sounds like Hershey, right? This self-contained, mixed-use eco-village, by acquiring these old properties, is cool, certainly, right? To commit an investment into a marginalized community is phenomenal, but it's not just enough to build this big, beautiful building and make it quote unquote sustainable and think you've done something for that community, because you didn't. So the next punch here is my nonprofit, Empower at the Bridge Foundation. The real estate development company stabilizes these properties, and the nonprofit educates the community, promoting self-sufficiency in the same 5 branches, teaching people how to work, start businesses, teaching people how to eat, farm, teaching people how to live, acquire real estate, learn, promoting trades, and play. That correlation between mental health and physical health, right? That sounds a lot like mind, body, spirit, community, right? So the bridge came together from all the different lived experiences that I had, the environments that I was introduced to, and all the intentional bridge builders in my life, most of which the corporation of Hershey's. So I still stand here today curious. Why aren't these other corporations, family offices, high net worth individuals investing intentionally into the infrastructure of their communities? Because again, it pays. People, planet, profit, philanthropy, true legacy. The blueprint was laid, and now it can be replicated. So as we do in football, I'm gonna have you guys, raise your hand, right? It's like the huddle. Raise your hand, because we're all in a team now, whether you like it or not. So we're gonna break this thing down on let's build. That's our mantra, let's build. We wanna be about that action. We know the problems, we know the disparities, we've done disparity studies. We even know what the solutions are. It's up to us to work together and to actually do it. So if you need some assistance in that area, or you'd like to build a bridge, or you wanna talk to me some more, feel free to scan that QR code, go to that website, and hit me up. And nah. Hands up. We're gonna break it down. Let's build on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, appreciate y'all. Here's a little video. I don't know if it's gonna time up now because I kind of went to my time, but it's a nice video. If they want to cut it off, they can, but you guys will enjoy it. Okay? Thank you. Harrisburg needs the bridge because it is the epitome of systematic oppression.
Harrisburg, a small city, 50,000 people, is the epitome of systematic oppression.
When you talk about redlining and food desert, lack of resources for a school district, it's all here. And it's been that way since I was younger.
So the school system's ranked near the bottom.
Hands-on educational system, project-based education is missing here.
It's food deserts, meaning that people have to go more than a mile to get to fresh fruits and vegetables.
I actually worked in affordable housing, and our waiting list was hundreds of people long, and it took years to filter through. So I think what's really missing here first is affordable housing that has access to food, and those 2 things together.
And I know how hard it can be, how dangerous it can be, and how how many resources they truly lack. And Harrisburg needs this place because the people here, they have such a rich culture and they know how to use resources, but they don't always know how to get them. And that's where the bridge comes in.
Looking around society, looking around your community, and finding those points of pain that need solved and providing a real solution for those points of pain.
And that just falls in line with all those generational curses that we're set to break. All of that and all in lack of green space, lack of financial literacy and education. There's Harrisburg, but this isn't just a Harrisburg problem. Like, we know that these problems exist in Detroit. These problems exist in Pittsburgh. These problems exist all over the US and also all over the world.
Well, like, what can we do about it? And what can one person do about it? What can a group of people do about it? What can one city, one town, one state, one country, one world? It's all of it's together and realizing that everything is connected.
Harrisburg just serves as the epitome of where we want to go and start our journey of systematic empowerment. We plan on doing that through work, eat, live, learn, and play.
There's different inspirations for kind of the different branches. I would say that Milton Hershey himself inspired all 5 branches with the way that he set up the town of Hershey. Mixed use development, mixed use site, all what you need in one place, with kind of the work, eat, live, learn, play mentality for his workers.
When you come to the bridge location, as soon as you walk through the doors, you'll be walking into an exclusive incubator co-working space. So it's going to encourage young entrepreneurs, just go ahead and give you a safe haven, if you will.
I worked a lot in commercial real estate, so the work piece I can picture pretty well. I think it's great. I think it's exciting to have and really important to have next to the live. So those two things together, I'm really excited to see.
So that's the work. And then as we go upstairs for our potential residents, there's going to be the live branch. And that's going to be where we'll have mixed use housing. So you're going to have people from all different socioeconomic statuses. So there's going to be low income, affordable housing and market rate. And then the eat, you'll be able to walk through and see where the microgreens are grown, see where your vining crops are coming from, and how the vertical farming works.
I think one of the biggest things that I like to visualize is the food section of the bridge and how innovative. As a vegan myself, I understand the importance of the health that's going to come. So when I'm seeing the area that's going to become our food sector, I get so excited.
And I think the eat piece is so innovative and interesting. I'm really excited to have like the first tomato that comes out of here.
New technology, more sustainable, and bringing a lot more food to the area. So yeah, just to kind of spark another agricultural revolution, if you will, based in Harrisburg.
So that's going to be the eat branch. And then the learn is going to be my favorite. That's where we're going to have people who are coming in from all over the world talking about empowering. So like I said, that systematic empowerment is going to focus on home ownership, credit repair, debt repair. That learn branch is going to be very, very important and what kind of sets us apart from other living communities. And then there's going to be the play. I'm excited because just a domed area with what the community wants. And then in turn, seeing people climbing on the rock wall, going across zip lines.
I walk through the halls of this building and I think of all the potential that is packed inside this building. And, I can visualize it. I see it and, I put my own twists on it as I'm walking around and I see the renderings and I'm just inspired.
Honestly, I think it makes sense. It seems like a lot of different, moving pieces and a lot of complexity, but in reality, it's very simple. And it's based off of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Base level of food, shelter, water, safety, security, love and belonging, self-esteem, self-actualization, or creating, like I said, systematic empowerment.
What I'm most excited about is all the potential that is going to be shown to the world from Harrisburg and all the other cities we end up in. It's really going to be a facilitator of burgeoning potential around the world.
You got to play chess. Like I said, have the foresight. Sustainability means longevity. It's planning now for the future.
I've always thought of sustainability as something bigger than just energy or water savings. It's about, social equity and health and well-being, as well as environmental sustainability.
In terms of changing communities, that personally for me, you make a ton of the money, like, okay, that's fine and all, but like there's still like something empty. You still want to contribute. And then you look back, where your mom is living and that town is still under. Like, how could you sit there and as someone who's trying to help and think that you're actually helping? So, it doesn't matter about all the money in the world. It's not going to fulfill you. You're going to get to a point where you'd like to contribute back. And this is the perfect way to do it. Not only is it a way to give back to the community that you're from, or any community for that matter, but it's a way to make money too.
You know, when I think about potential investors and I think about whether or not they're going to invest, it depends on how their mindset is. You know, if an investor is only caring about the money, it might be kind of hard for them to visualize what's going to happen here. But if you care about the progress of humanity, the money's going to come. So if that's top of mind for investors, if they want to invest not only in businesses that are going to be lucrative, if they want to invest in the progress of humanity, this is for you.
So if you want to be a part of that, then this is definitely the opportunity to get in. And, you know, there's not models like this. Transforming an old school into something beautiful for a community. These buildings are in perfect locations to be transformed and revive the communities that they're in.
It's important to understand that this is just the beginning. We're not going to stop here. We're going to take it forward with our objectives being to get bridges built, at least in 8 cities over the next 6 years. We're going to get it done, knowing that it's not just going to take us, it's going to take all of you.
It's like, you know, if not us, then who? And if not now, then when?
You're able to go ahead and make an impact on now, tomorrow, and generations down the line. We're excited to have everybody join in and just build with us.
Let's build.